Hello, it's Mike O'Reilly, ABA Appliance. Um, I wanted to go live because I want to talk to people about appliance repair. We're seeing a lot of changes, and they're not for the better. But a lot of things over the years have been the same. Online, or even if you know people, you ask them questions because you're stuck on a problem, appliance repair. Um, you get answers that are just kind of like guesses. And it gets frustrating when especially when you're looking for answers and you have a problem with a customer, you got to resolve it. Um, this is something that I think I can actually uh, help a lot of people with. I see questions and answers like on YouTube where it makes no sense. The person answering is like, well, you need to just check more, and that's not helpful. They're asking for a specific, they're telling you there's a specific problem and they're looking for a specific answer. There's a lot of people chiming in that just don't have the answers. Or they have answers that are try this, try that. What's helpful is like when you go to a doctor, you tell him what's wrong. You're in extreme pain. You want an answer. So he needs to diagnose along with you, whether he's there or not, as far as the technician goes. Um, Asking a lot of questions and getting to the specific problem that you're having, like a sealed system repair. There's no reason why sealed system repairs can't be solved. But a lot of techs have problems with sealed system repairs where they have a restriction system, they can't figure it out, and they just give up. One of the things, and I've said it several times in videos, is that seals, just like on a sealed system or any repair, the thing you got to remember is you got to go back to its normal state, what it is, how it was before it had a problem. And I know that sounds like common sense, and it is. But just like with text, when I'll go out and follow them up and I have them come out with me and say, look, what's the problem? They tell me, and I say, okay. And he's like, well, it's this. I put this part on in this, but I think it's this. And they start going off on tangents. If that didn't solve it, I'm going to try something else, and it doesn't even have anything to do with what the problem is. They just start searching. So, what makes it a lot easier is if you um, stick to what your problem is and trust your diagnosis. Okay, but that's difficult if you're not sure what's wrong because you don't trust your diagnosis. If you're asking somebody else, like when I step in and help, and I say, okay, stop. You think that that's the problem. So stick with it. Maybe you got a bad part. Prove yourself wrong. Um, Prove that one of the biggest problems for techs is that they think they can't ever admit that maybe they made a mistake. Maybe they diagnosed it wrong. And this is one of the things that you really need to do when you diagnose something, replace the part, and it doesn't work. Go back to yourself first. Don't go back to starting going off in tangents that something else might be wrong. Um, it's possible something else is the problem, and it's likely you misdiagnosed it, and something else is the problem. But go back to yourself. If you're definite that that's the problem, trust that, and then prove it wrong, and do some more tests. Um, this is where I actually like with sealed systems. Sealed systems are a really good example. That's just one of my fortes. Um, when you contact me, and let me say this right up front, um, I get contacts from all over the world. Um, I've one from England here this last week. Um, because I don't know, my name gets around, I guess. I've been doing this for over 40 years. Um, and and they told me they talked to other people and all this kind of stuff. And the thing is that just like with sealed system, you need to take it back to its original state. What original state that it is when it's just factory. Um, so if you have to tear the whole system apart to diagnose it, you don't really have to do that. What I will do is walk you through step by step, and a lot of times it's backward diagnosis, going from the end result to and going back. And one of the things I always want to do is know what you've done. So I'll start with that and say, okay, I'm even going to go back farther than that because I want to know. It's not that I'm questioning your diagnosis. It's not that I'm questioning you, but I want to know, as I'm the first person out there looking at it, that is this actually the direction you wanted to go? Are we looking at the wrong thing? Because if you're not getting the end result from what you did, maybe we're off base here. So let's back up and start all over again. And that goes all the way back to what was the complaint? I want to start all brand new. Like, I'm the first person looking at this. So I'm going to go back and say, okay, what does the customer complain about? What are you complaining about that you thought there was a problem if you are the customer? And I deal with a lot of customers as well. And a lot of customers that actually know quite a bit about repairs and mechanical. And I've walked many customers through repairs on Zoom and otherwise on the phone for hours. And we get to the end result. We always do. But the reason is, and I can say that 100%, it's because I always go back to the beginning, find out what's going on for sure. Okay. I'm not going to trust somebody else's diagnosis. I'm just not going to do that. I need to re-diagnose it myself. So when you go out on a call and you think that this is wrong with it, and somebody else may have um, been there before, don't trust what the customer says they said was wrong. Re-diagnose it. Okay. Um, you have to re-diagnose it. It's just like when you go to a doctor. That doctor's not going to listen. If he's smart, he's not going to listen to what another doctor said. Um, and he's going to re-diagnose you himself. So that's what you need to do. You need to go back to the beginning, and that's what I'm going to do if I'm assisting you, and I'd be happy to do so. If you have problem situations, we're going to go back to the beginning. I'm going to say, okay, why do you think there's even a problem to start with? It goes along with what I said a second ago about proving it wrong. Prove the customer wrong. I teach techs, and they're like, why would you need just listen to what I'm saying. And what you're going to do is a customer will say, this tech said this is wrong, and prove that wrong. So in other words, you're doing two things. You're number one, you're listening to the customer, and that's what they want to hear. When you listen to the customer, what the problem is, you ever have a customer where they're hanging over your shoulder? And customers, I'm not talking negative of you. I'm Let me finish and you'll understand. Let the customer tell you what's wrong. They want to be part of the process. This is what I train techs. I've always trained techs is, look, you have a complaint that the office person told you this is what's wrong with it. So if you go out there and you're all, I know what's wrong. No, that's all right. You don't have to tell me. I know what's wrong. They told me what was wrong. Don't do that. The customer wants to be part of the process. And if they're not part of the process, they're going to sit there until they have their chance to speak. And they're going to keep trying to tell you what's wrong because they want to be part of the process. Let them be. And by not letting them be part of the process, you're hearsay. You could have a service company say this, or whatever office girls say this. That's not even what no, that's not what I told them. So if you're not listening to the customer, you're off on the wrong tangent right off the bat. You got to listen to the customer. Okay. I had techs step in front of the customer and start putting their hands on the appliance. I'm like, back up. Let the customer tell you what's wrong. And as soon as they do, you'll see. They'll walk away, say, I'm going to be back in my office. Let me know if you need anything. They're off your shoulder because they got a chance to speak to you and to tell you what was wrong. They want their 2 seconds. Give it to them. But more so than that, you're going to get information that probably is more accurate than what you got from the call taker or from another tech or anybody hearsay. People repeat things differently. And that's where part of the problem is. So you have to go back to the beginning. And that's what I'm going to do if you contact me is we're going to go back to the beginning. Why do you think there's a problem in the first place? What was it doing? I want to re-diagnose it. Well, it's got moisture on the ceiling, the refrigerator, and it's where's the moisture located? Is it in the front? And be specific with the customer. Direct them. Don't expect them to know what you're asking them. Like where's the moisture? You know it's up at top front by the door. They don't know what you mean. It could be on the walls. It could be in the back. They don't know what you mean. So be specific. It's critical. Be specific with the customer or whoever you're talking to about asking questions, or even another tech. That you're specific about where that moisture is. Oh, it's right up in front, right by the door. When you open the door, you look up and there's moisture all on the ceiling. Okay, right there, that tells me of what it is. Now the person put a new compressor in, and that the original complaint? Yes, yeah. There's moisture on the ceiling. Is everything cold like normal? Yeah, it is. It is. But what's the temperature? It was like 38, 39 in the refrigerator. Okay, but that's not too warm. 40 is and above is too warm. So it's cooling. So what they replace the compressor for? Was it the same after and before you replaced the compressor? Yes. Okay, now I'm going, oh man, you just put a compressor in for no reason. Okay. The reason that moisture, and this is just one example, but it's not cooling properly. So tech just says, oh, the compressor's bad. And they do that. And you guys do that sometimes because you don't know what's wrong. Refrigerators really beat up technicians. It's amazing. They don't know exactly how they work, and they have a really difficult time diagnosing them. But there's certain things that do certain things. It causes certain problems. Moisture on the ceiling toward right up front is not the same as moisture on the back wall where the evaporator is. It's not the same. It's not the same problem, very likely. Okay. Um, and temperature wise, and you're going to get moisture and icing on the back wall, very likely, but you don't get icing on the ceiling towards the front. It's two different problems. The one in the back could be a sealed system problem, could be, but you have to do some more investigation, diagnosing. The one up front is very likely you got airflow coming in, warm air from outside, from the gasket. That's why it's warm air will just migrate straight up. Okay, yeah, there's a fan in there, but the concentration of the moisture is going to be right up front by the door, and warm air rises. So it's not going to form down there where it's leaking, probably at the bottom. And typically gaskets will leak at the bottom because the drippage in there causes it to get sticky. And every time they open the door, it pulls on the gasket and rips it, especially if it's older gasket. Different brands are even worse with that. Um, so you don't have a compressor problem. And so if I don't go back to the beginning, I don't know that. At that point, I just kind of get quiet, especially if we're in a customer's home. I'll talk to the technician outside, or I'll tell him, go outside if you're on the cell phone, and I talk even quieter because I know people can hear in the background. They can hear what you're talking about, even if you don't have the speaker on. They can hear. So be aware of that. It's not we're trying to hide anything from you, but I want you to know when you go outside that You put a compressor in. You charge her $800, $1,000, and you misdiagnosed it, man. I don't know what you're going to tell the customer, but you need to resolve this problem. You need to take a look at the door. Is it out of alignment? Is it warped? Some brands like Sub-Zero's, the door will warp. KitchenAid, Whirlpool. When you loosen the screws up, they hold the gasket in place. The metal anymore it didn't used to happen because it's just like cars. The metal is a lot thinner gauge. But now these door panels are so thin that when you loosen the screws up, that holds the integrity of that door straight. When you loosen them all up, and you don't ever loosen, even when you put a gasket on, you don't loosen all of them at once. You do a partial, put the gasket in, tighten slightly, do partial loosen, and you don't take them all the way out either. You got guys pulling these doors off and putting them on the floor. If you want to make that much work for yourself, go ahead. But you don't need to do that. You can do it with it hanging, and you do it a little bit at a time, a portion at a time. But you don't loosen them all up and take the metal strips off and everything else, retaining strip. You don't do that. That's a little tip from many years of experience. You're going to be out of that house about an hour sooner by doing it the proper way. You don't take it off the wall. The other problem you're creating is, if I'm off tangent here, but the other problem you're creating is that when you put the door back on, you're probably not going to get it lined properly. You're probably not. They're so heavy, and and one person, even with two people, you're probably going to misalign it now. So don't leave the hinges alone. If you don't need to touch it, don't touch it. But it's back to the moisture problem. This is just one simple example. That take a look at the gasket. Is it ripped? Is the door out of alignment? Is the door warped? What? And then go from there. So one of the things that I just that prompted this podcast, the start of this podcast, I've never done this. I've been doing the videos, but I was just online and I was looking at. I've been so concentrated on doing service, just kind of ignoring everything else going on in the world, because I've been so extremely busy. That I just found out there's some appliance blue book for pricing, nationwide pricing guide. It's not a nationwide pricing guide, as I just found out. It's actually, the guy talking in the video, you can tell he's not a service person just by the words that he's using. He has no idea about service, and he's out there. They started this appliance back in 2009. He said it was a peer group, and of service companies that didn't know, they didn't have answers to questions, they didn't know what was going on, and they started this. Let's get some answers and pricing and repair cost, diagnosis, everything. Let's put it into a package where we can sell it to technicians. This is a business guy that's doing this. Probably an owner of a company that's never done service, and he never will. He's just hiring techs, and they're probably having problems, and he can't answer their questions. That's the problem with having a service manager or owner that doesn't do service. I've been through that. Whirlpool Corporation. One of my service managers was this female that was a business degree, and all they were concerned about was the bottom line. She knew nothing about service. And then she was challenging me, and I was like, "Get out of here! You don't know what you're talking about." Challenged me on a sealed system repair. I solved it, but she was telling me something that just made no sense. Anyways, so this is what this appears to be. It's first of all, my first impression was they stole the copyrighted blue book. Are you kidding? That's for autos. It has been forever. That's got to be copyrighted, and it's like the Dummies logo and the Dummies label. You can't just use their labels. So that, first of all, that's I don't understand them doing that. That's pretty presumptuous and actually illegal if it is copyrighted. Surprised Blue Book hasn't done anything about that. But the other thing is, I was listening to it, and this guy was, they're talking about um, going to this database that you input, you buy into this. It's like the pricing book is like $269. So you can tell what the price to charge a customer. Are you if you're not able to figure that out on your own as a service company, you shouldn't be doing service. When I was listening to him talk about they input done service calls that are completed, all the data, what the complaint was, what the parts that were used, what the cost of the repair was, and it's these customers, these techs are supposed to look up in this database, this blue book, what the pricing is. And so a complaint is that it's this, and that's these are the parts that are used if this is the complaint. That's nonsense. Are you kidding me? Every complaint that is, let's say, a noise on a refrigerator, so they put in a part, they put in a compressor because it was a compressor making the noise. And this blue book, this appliance blue book, is telling them that a noise complaint, and then he's saying that you need to get all the parts that apply to the noise complaint, so you can carry them out and you do a one call complete. Wow, this is not a service company that's put this database together because you would never do that. You're not going to buy all these parts that you never stock and carry them out to the house so you only go out there once when you haven't even diagnosed it. So they're suggesting in this appliance blue book that you actually are going to diagnose from this database by what a complaint is. The complaint also from the call taker. Here's a good example: refrigerator Whirlpool. All Whirlpool brands, if you've worked on a lot of them, you know this. And I tell my office girls, look, don't change the complaint. If the customer says exact words, write those exact words down because it's critical. If you change, they would say, bird, it sounds like a bird chirping. That's a Whirlpool evaporator fan motor, very likely. Um, and anybody that's worked on it, has any experience, knows that. Um, and so if they write down it's a noise and they change it from bird chirping, I don't know for sure what the customer said. So you always have to make sure that the call taker writes down exact words that the customer states. That way, as a service tech, you know what the possible problem is, and then you can determine whether you have that evaporator fan motor for that model and on the truck, or you can go run and get it after you verify what it is. The problem with suggesting like this appliance blue book that you go get all the parts, then you go out to the customer's house so you don't have two calls is ridiculous. You're going to end up with an inventory of parts because you're not going to be able to send them all back, and there's restocking charges 25, 35%. This is insane. This guy has never, that did appliance blue book, has never done service. And they're right telling service companies how to do service, how to make money. No, you're not. You're telling them how to lose money and lose your business. I'm going to have 3 million parts in my truck. Like, they don't make a truck that big, and I can't carry that many. I'm going to be broke listening to you, appliance blue book. And then the pricing is just unbelievably ridiculous. He had an example he gave on one of the videos of, he ended up three labor charges. He's got his example was a igniter on a dryer. It was a Whirlpool 279311. Everybody knows Whirlpool and igniters. They know that's an old part number. It's been around forever. Just a typical igniter for the Whirlpool dryer. And so he's got this database, this database, the appliance blue book, and it's gonna bring up for him the igniter and what the igniter should be charged, how much you should charge for it, what the labor rate is, and it was $119 for labor rate, um, $99.95 for the service call charge, ended up being $288. Okay, that's a little excessive. It's just a little high. It's about $100 too high. Typical charge for the replace an igniter it's not a terribly difficult job. I mean, I do it without even taking the machine apart. I just do it from the access panel. Um, and it's about 15 minutes. So $119 is pretty reasonable for 15 minutes of work. But then add another $99.95 on. But the other thing that this appliance Blue Book doesn't realize, because these guys are not service companies, they're just guys that want to make money off techs lying to them, companies. Um, Most companies will advertise the service call is part of the repair, it gets taken off, whatever verbiage they want to use. So it's part of, and you're not going to pay two different rates, service call plus. So $288. Then he adds another part, and now he's going to charge labor for that. And he does a cleaning of the dryer while he's in there. So he's got $119 on this appliance Blue Book, $119 for the labor for the igniter, $89 for labor for cleaning it out with a vacuum. While he's in there, he's charging the second labor. Are you kidding? The third one is $149 because he put another part on while he was in there also. So he's got three labor charges on this appliance Blue Book. He's now up to $537. Are you kidding? The customer's going to throw you out the window. You're not going to sell the call. They're going to laugh at you and they're going to leave. If you want to rip the customer off, go with this appliance Blue Book. I mean, they're going to pass the word around to all their friends too. That they could buy another appliance. They could buy another dryer, a simple dryer at Costco for $500. It's just ridiculous. So these guys, and they're charging $269 for this price guide. They're the ones ripping everybody off with this stuff that just is not true. They're suggesting that this appliance database is going to diagnose the appliance for you. No, it's not. You have to diagnose the appliance. That's what our job is to go out there. Our job as a technician is to be trained to go out there and diagnose the appliance. This appliance Blue Book is saying that you can diagnose the appliance by telling it what the complaint is. It'll tell you what parts were used, but previous on other jobs, and then you can take the part out. So you already know what's wrong with. No, you don't, because that complaint could be many different things. You can't carry all these parts out there. That's just ridiculous. And you need to diagnose it. It could be a bad wire. It could be a bad connection. So do not trust this. I was just made aware of this when I was online. I was like, it's been around to 2009, and just totally misdirecting service companies and service technicians that don't know any better, that this is a guide to follow. It's not. This is not reality of appliance repair. Do not listen to what they're telling you. This is unbelievable what they're telling you. When he was bringing up the parts, and he said what the distributor price was, and it popped up as reliable parts. I think reliable parts is into this, and this guy's actually getting money back for getting parts, because he's suggesting you go out and buy these parts that you wouldn't normally carry on your truck, to carry them out and do one call, not go out and diagnose and then go back, order the part and go back, to do a one call complete. You're going to make more money. Not when you're quoting them $500 for the repair. Customer's not going to have anything to do with you. 3 different labor rates. Unbelievable. You guys need to get a clue. Service company solutions, they're called. They don't know what they're talking about. And there's no way they could ever have been a service tech. The way they're suggesting that you do things that are totally against 180 degrees of what we would do. You guys need to stop this. Customers do not, if you call up for a service company, ask the service company and do it in a way that you're actually suggesting or saying that almost like that's what you like. And that is to ask them, Do you use the appliance blue book pricing? And do it like it's a positive, so you can get a positive answer, an honest answer from them. And if they know what it is and that's the way they work, they're just going to quickly answer yes. Yeah, we go. Yeah, we absolutely go by that because they're going to be proud of it. That means they're overcharging you, are very likely going to overcharge you because they're going by something that is totally wrong. Do not believe in that appliance blue book. That's just garbage. Um, that's these guys that peer group that got together and want to make a bunch of money off service companies telling them things that aren't true. There's no truth in any of this. We don't do this. You will go under if you go by what the appliance blue book is telling you what to do. You'll go under as a business. There's no way you can start stocking all these parts. You can't return them. Okay, electrical parts, most parts houses, electrical parts you can't return. But even if they are returnable, there's 25, 35% restocking fee. So you're losing money every time you get these parts. A lot of money. You're going to go under. And if you don't return them because of the restocking, you're going to end up with more parts than you know what to do with. And guess what? A lot of those parts, as you well know, you're not going to ever use, or could be 6 months or a year before you use it, or 2 years. So it's going to be sitting in your truck or in your house. And you have wasted money out there when you could have been paying your bills. This is unbelievable what they've done. Do not stay away from this. And customers ask the question, if they work on that appliance blue book, don't have the company come out to you. That's the facts. Go online, look it up, listen to the videos, and you'll know yourself that this is fact. This is what I'm saying is I just listened to it. It's unbelievable. And I didn't misunderstand anything. I know this business back and forth. Um, the way you treat a customer is the proper way, and it's treating them properly price wise. You don't gouge them with three different labor rates. When you're already tearing it apart, you're doing the same. You're right there doing the job. That's one labor rate. You might end to add on 20, $30 or something for a little bit of time doing something else, or $40, but you already have it apart, especially vacuuming it out while you're doing another job that you charge $149 for, and then another $119 for another part when you're already in there, and then $89 for vacuuming it out. Are you kidding? That's just really ripping the customer off. Appliance, wow, appliance blue book. You need, this is unbelievable. You need to go away, get away from this appliance industry. We don't need people like you making a bad name for our industry. And that's what you are, is a bad name. You have no idea what you're talking about. And you're saying that you are making things better so that companies can make more money. No, they're going to lose customers because they're quoting the customer way too much. I just watched a video from a guy that talked about appliance blue book, and he was like, I don't go by the prices. It's way too high. Way too high. It's a fact. I know what the pricing is. I've been doing it for 40 plus years. The problem is you guys don't know what the pricing is because you haven't done it and you couldn't do it. And that's why your peer group thought you would. What you did, it appears, is that you started this up because you had no idea how to do appliance repair. So you decided you were going to figure out how to do appliance repair when we've been doing it for decades and forever, but you couldn't figure it out because you're not designed for appliance repair. So get away from our industry. And then you come up with this garbage that is just totally 180%. It's gonna bankrupt every service company if they listen to this. And it's gonna lose faith in the customer. Customer is gonna be like, that's all they do is rip everybody off. $500 for a $180 repair. That's what that repair should have been. Maybe 200 if you're cleaning it out and everything else. Igniter, and another small part by the igniter and cleaning it out with a vacuum, $537. Sorry, you're ripping them off. And customers don't fall for it. If it doesn't sound right and your gut says it's not right, trust your gut. Just tell the guy, you know what, I changed my mind. We don't want to fix it. Um, and either call somebody else, um, but get that person out of your house. You're gonna have to pay him the service call. You can't fight that, or you're gonna end up fighting him physically. You don't want to do that. You agreed to that when you took the service call, so you're gonna have to pay the service call, but you need to vet them better. This is what I'm trying to do: is provide a service so that if you're not sure about how things should be, how what the pricing should be, even technicians and service companies, if you aren't sure how things work, contact me. I'll tell you the right way of doing it and saving the customer and treating them right and getting them to advertise for you because they're like, yeah, he was so reasonable. You're still going to make money, but they're going to free advertise for you. They're going to be telling all their friends. I never paid advertising in 40 plus years, never, because I always treated the customer right. I made a good living. Appliance repair can be very, very good. Um, but treat the customer right. You don't need to rip them off because when you rip them off, they're not calling you back. They're not, and they're going to tell all their friends, "Don't go with them, man. They gouged me. I didn't have much choice because he was already in the house, so I just went ahead and paid him." But unbelievable. I'll never call him back. And that's what they say. You're not getting customers, and you're not getting their friends because they already know your name. And now everybody needs to know Appliance Blue Book's name. Stay away from it. This is my advice and my opinion. I can't believe what they're telling you to do. That this thing's going to diagnose it for you, and you get all these parts together and pay for all these parts that you're not going to use. You don't even know what's wrong with it yet. You haven't been to the home to diagnose it. You got to diagnose it first before you go ordering a part. It's totally 100 degrees backwards. They have no idea what they're doing. They think it's ideal. You can just carry a part out and get it done the first time you're out there. That's nonsense. It's just not the way any service business works. Okay, so they don't know what they're talking about. All they're doing is overcharging people for these price guides and everything else. $269 for a price guide. Are you kidding? It's maybe a $39 purchase, $29, and that 39 would be too much. 269 each. Who is buying these? Who is falling for this crap? I'm sorry that you bought them, you guys. I mean, they're taking advantage of you, of your lack of knowledge and wanting to make a successful business in appliance repair. They're taking advantage of you. They're giving you the wrong information. It's totally 180 degrees wrong. I hope to see a class action on this against them, especially for using the name Blue Book. Are you kidding? Blue Book, why aren't you all over them? I can't imagine you're any part of this because that's got to be a registered trademark as well as a copyrighted name. So this was disturbing when I saw this. This is what makes it worse for the appliance repair industry when we have people like this, outsiders, claiming that they know what they're doing. This happens online too. This is how I started the podcast. Was you got guys out there that are acting like they know what's up and what the problem is, and oh, I can help you. Yeah, I know what to do. And their answer is, well, you just need to do a little bit more investigation. They act like they know something, and then when they are confronted with answering that, they can't tell you anything, and they almost like belittle you. Um, I see that, and I jump in, and I because I want to help this guy. He's actually honestly asking for help. So most of the people online, they're just not helpful. They're wannabes that are acting like they know something, and If they did, they'd be out doing service. That's all I can say about it. And they're not. They're sitting in a room or in a basement and acting like they know something. And then when they get a question, they're probably going online looking up what the problem is and reading what somebody else said on a website, and then they're repeating it to you. It has nothing to do with your model, nothing to do with you. Do not trust that stuff. I'm sorry that people are misleading you that way. So if you have problems and you really want concrete answers and a resolution, contact me. I'll help you because I get down to the nitty gritty. What the problem is, tell me all specifics. And I'm going to want to know what model it is, everything else, and I'll help you to the resolution. If we get into it deep, I have a consultation fee, and it starts at $69. Um, if it's sealed system, it starts at it's over $100. We'll talk about that we get there. But it's on my virtual appliance repair virtual hotline.com is my Zoom technical assistance, appliance repair virtual hotline.com. So CO system's more expensive because it's really in depth and it's going to be probably hours. So if you have questions about that, let me know. And I will help you to the resolution. Not like what you're going to get online. Oh, try this, try that, try that. That's no help. And you all know what I'm talking about. So take care. I'm going to end for now. This is the first time I've done this. I've seen a couple people, 2 or 3 people come in and go out. So hopefully in the future, you get more of a following and people will stick around and listen or not. And if they don't, then I'll probably still keep doing it because even if somebody gets a little bit of information, it's better than nothing. And it's the proper, correct information. Okay. So appliance blue book, please go away. You're just destroying businesses and you're hurting customers. This price gouging is ridiculous. And telling service companies to buy all these parts before they go out, and that your database is going to tell them how to diagnose it. They don't have to diagnose it. They can go by the database, get a bunch of parts, go out, and that. Are you kidding? That's not the way appliance repair works, or any repair. You have to physically. That's why we're trained. That's why you couldn't handle it. Your peer group couldn't handle it because you don't know anything about appliance repair. And then you're just going out now making a bunch of money off poor suckers that are buying your garbage, your lies, your absolute wrong information. Unbelievable. I've been in this business a long time. What you're saying is totally wrong. And that's my opinion, and I think it's a pretty educated one. And I'm sure a lot of other people will agree with me that have been around as well. In fact, the one guy I listened to, he was like, yeah, I don't go by the prices. They're way too high. Duh. Because you guys have no idea what you're doing. All you want to make sure is that you get $269 in other fees. Everything that you have is a fee. It's just like, and these guys go into debt with you. They're not making money. They're losing money. And it's telling them how to lose money. It's not telling them how to have a good business. It's telling them how to do things wrong. So it destroys their business. That's what it is. You don't go to a database with a complaint and buy all these parts. That's not how you do service. That's totally wrong. So you guys need to go away. Anyways, so that's it for now. There's nobody listening right now. I don't think. I'll be back. And if you have any difficulties with repairs or whatever, let me know. I'll walk you through it all. Okay. And it won't be just general answers like you get online. I actually get to the details, and we'll get a resolution. All right. All right. Take care. Thank you.